Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary, Ashton, and this is our NXT review. Gotta say, for me, a very fun episode of NXT tonight. We got the continuation of certain storylines as we inch closer and closer to July 4th at Sumo Hall. Going to be a huge NXT event. Probably, again, the highlight for me, the Finn Balor story continues. Another great story told through just extensive, video and photos and everything like that. That was awesome, so we got an installation of that. Some solid matches, and yeah, just an all-around, another excellent hour of NXT. Ashton, what did you think of it?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing that we've been doing for the longest time is comparing NXT to Lucha Underground, and I think that they were actually pretty close to the same level tonight. Maybe Lucha Underground was a step above. Honestly, if we're looking at the entirety of the wrestling world, I would argue that ROH had the best show tonight on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, because they had frickin' Nakamura versus Roddy Strong and a main event that involved the Young Bucks and Okada. So, they're where it's at tonight specifically, but still, NXT and Lucha Underground, phenomenal shows. So to say that ROH was better than them tonight is just putting ROH on a different level right now, and not saying anything bad about Lucha Underground or NXT at all, because these are still both great shows. In the fall, we might end up doing all three. In the fall, at some point, there's a very strong chance that John and I are going to end up reviewing all three Wednesday night shows, not counting TNA, ROH, NXT, and Lucha Underground, because ROH is on the rise, Lucha Underground's incredible, NXT is consistently great, so it's tough to go without reviewing shows that are great, and ROH has been great for a while, but the way our freaking Wednesday schedule works out, we just can't add a third show right now. We're going to try and work something out in the fall while we're kind of taking a break from WWE Raw for a while. So until then, though, man, let's get into this NXT show, because this was some good stuff.
Yeah, it's funny, like, I was listening to everything you were saying, I was in complete agreement. I feel like we're in a wrestling renaissance right now, and I feel like Wednesdays are the epicenter of that. You even had Kenny King recently on the radio interview say the same thing, like, Wednesday nights are just great for wrestling fans, and even if you are TNA fans, and I say this with the utmost sincerity, because I'm not, and I don't think Ashton is either, I like certain performers, but that's where it goes. Like, you have such a multitude of options on Wednesdays, and it really it all started with NXT. So it's appropriate.
I would argue that it all started with Lucha Underground, because Lucha Underground was on Wednesdays before NXT came to Wednesdays.
Oh, well, that is true, yeah. It's weird to think about. I guess I've just gotten so used to NXT being on Wednesdays, but, I feel like the Renaissance as a whole, I should say, I feel like started with NXT, because it really opened my eyes and like, wow, look at this amazing product. Then you have Lucha Underground, then you have all this. So to know that, we kind of come full circle and NXT is still showing up after all this time, despite all this heat, despite all this pressure, is wonderful to say. So with that, let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. I don't have any heats tonight. I think my only nitpick, and it's the pickiest of nits, to steal a phrase from my cohort and commentary here, I didn't like that Jason Jordan ate the pin in his tag match tonight, because I just feel like it's better for the story when his partners eat the pin, because it's all about him finding the right partner. Now you could, blame his partner, who was Sylvester Lefort tonight, which was very interesting seeing him after God knows how long, because, he made the quick tag, and I guess Jason Jordan was caught off guard. But I just don't like the idea that a guy that's supposed to be looking strong, and he's the guy seeking out partners, he's kind of in that position, to be eating pins, because then, I don't know, I just think, to me, it makes him come off a certain way. So that was the only nitpick I had about tonight's episode of NXT.
Yeah, I guess I actually I don't know if I looked away for a moment or if my video just skipped, but I actually missed what led to Jason Jordan getting pinned. What happened with Sylvester Lefort that ended up knocking him off the apron?
I think Enzo may have done something, because I know Lefort was in control of Enzo, and then he just tags in Jordan. But I feel like Sylvester Lefort, it was like, I don't want to say he was gassed, but he was dealing with something, like he was in some kind of pain maybe from earlier in the match. And Jason Jordan wasn't expecting it, and then Enzo gets a really quick roll-up, which shocked me. Like, he just scoops Jason Jordan up. We didn't even get to see Colin Cassidy's famed hot tag tonight, which I feel like has been the highlight of Enzo and Cass's matches lately. But the idea that Enzo gets a win on his own and off Jordan, like, I'm happy for Enzo, and I think it's great for the character that he did something by himself. I just wish it wasn't at Jason Jordan's expense. I think the finish would have been a lot better for me if it was Enzo pinning Lefort. I don't know. It just didn't come off the best to me, even though I still love Enzo and Cass. Nothing wrong there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I can understand the story being told with Jason Jordan eating the pin, but I do agree with you that it would have made more sense if Lefort would have eaten the pin here.
I guess we can all agree, though, that no one is more able than Chad Gable, so hopefully that gets around soon.
Going in Gable, that's right.
So, with that said, do you have any heats tonight or nitpicks, though?
You know what? I don't actually have any heats that are nitpicks, but I do have something negative that I really just want to get out of the way now so that it doesn't cramp our style when we're actually talking about the show. And it actually has something to do with both NXT and Lucha Underground. I don't like how wishy-washy the crowds are. Like, with Lucha Underground, literally in the same match, they were cheering for Drago, and then Mil Muertes gets on offense, and it's Mil Muertes. And now tonight, you have Finn Balor, the prevailing hero, who's going to be taking the title off of the biggest douchebag on the planet in NXT right now. And the crowd is cheering for Rhyno to gore him. Like, what sense does that make?
I guess it would just make more sense if the crowd was really just chanting wrestling, or this is wrestling. Like, if you feel like you're vacillating between one and the other, obviously the match then is really compelling.
Well, no, why do you have to chant at all? Why does there need to be a chant going on? Why can't you express yourself in some way other than chanting?
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just the mode they choose. I mean, they do, pay their money or however.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like when the hero is down and out, don't cheer for the heel. Cheer for the hero so that they can get back into the match.
I mean, that's the way the story usually goes, right? But I mean,
that's the way. I mean, that's what the wrestling crowds are kind of supposed to do. Like, the whole point of a crowd cheering a guy on is kind of giving him that extra willpower to fight. So why would you cheer for the guy that's the bad guy just because he's on offense? I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, a lot's changed since wrestling, like in the 80s. Because in the 80s, I mean, that was by the numbers, right? Your faces are always getting cheered, your heels are always getting booed. But I mean, so much has changed, and I feel like that basic kind of storytelling concept of rallying behind the babyface and cheering the heel is lost on a lot of people. And I don't say that negatively, because I mean that's what human autonomy is all about. And when you have cool characters that resonate with you, obviously you're going to go with them. Like, I still support Johnny Mundo despite the fact that he's a heel. By all intents and purposes, I should have been rallying behind Prince Puma when he was down 3 falls.
But that's more of a personal thing. Like, you're going to be a John Morrison fan, Johnny Mundo fan, no matter whether he's a heel or a face. But I get that, but when crowds just straight up cheer for whoever's on offense, it kind of annoys me. I'm not trying to say that it's absolutely wrong and that it should never happen. I'm just,
right.
I guess I'm more of like a traditionalist in that manner, and where I feel like if you are a fan of the babyface in the match, you should always cheer for them no matter what. Like, it's almost like you're doing a disservice to the heel by cheering for them, because they're supposed to be trying to get over as a bad guy, and you're cheering for them. Like, I feel like the heel should almost be doing more to get over as a heel if the crowd is cheering for them.
I just think what it comes down to for you is that maybe you're looking for more consistency from the crowds. Like, if you really do like a heel,
and I guess maybe it's not even necessarily the crowd's fault, because the crowd reacts the way that comes natural to them. And if, like, you never see really The Miz getting cheered just because he's such a great heel. Like, you never see Michael Bennett in ROH getting cheered because he's such an amazing heel. So maybe this is more on Rhyno not being a strong enough heel.
And that could be. And maybe it's on, Mil Muertes are being, like, too good of a heel in the sense that he's, like, explosive and destructive and it's just fun to watch. I think that
Lucha Underground gets Lucha Underground gets a little bit more of a pass because sort of the culture of the whole promotion is whoever is the most violent is who we're going to cheer. And I get that. Right. And that's like with Pentagon Jr. and Mil Muertes, I get that. But with NXT, it rubs me more the wrong way. And especially when it's Finn Balor. Because, like, I thought that Finn Balor was one of these guys that was like, he's untouchable. They're going to cheer for him no matter what. He's the only guy on the planet that can get a crowd to boo Kevin Owens. and now they're not even booing Rhyno. Like, what is happening right now?
And that, I think, is a fair point. Because I think that has farther implications, because when you and I, whenever we talk about Finn Balor, I mean, I rave about the guy, and I know you do too. Like, I literally see WWE's future in this man, because WWE is always known, building that one guy at a time, that whole model. I think Finn is that guy. I look at him, and I could really see him being a torch bearer, that kind of level. So to see them turn on him in a lick when Rhyno is setting up his finish, the gore, it's a bit off-putting, because they should be booing the idea that, impending destruction could be awaiting, Finn Balor the moment he turns around.
Well, that's the moment where you would think that they would be cheering for Finn. Rather than necessarily booing Rhyno, why don't you cheer for Finn to recover,
Right. And yeah, that I think is a fair criticism, because Finn, I think, is on another level. Like, he's touching the stratosphere, and yet the idea that, they sided with Rhyno in that one instance.
Yeah, it's like the crowd would rather cheer for a nostalgia pop than stay true to the story.
Yeah, nostalgia pop. I don't know. Maybe we're seeing a transforming of wrestling crowds. I don't know, because I mean, yeah, like you said, Lucha Underground gets a pass because of the culture and what you can expect from the temple. But I don't know. Maybe this is just a crowd that when they see nostalgia, there's something about that they want to get behind. I don't know, but hopefully, I'm very excited for the Japanese crowd though. Come Sumo Hall, we're talking.
Yeah, they're gonna be 100% behind Finn. I hope.
Definitely. So with that said, do you have any other grievances you'd like to air?
No, and then that really, I mean, it's not so much a grievance as an observation.
Right.
But that's it.
All right, then. Well, with that said, I'm really glad we had the discussion. Very interesting discussion on the role of crowds. But with that said, let us roll right on through to our NXT review. We have kind of a cold open, very emotional. Triple H and the entire NXT roster gather on to remember Dusty Rhodes. This hit me harder than I think really anything. I had seen it already on YouTube. There was a clip of it up, but just knowing that Dusty had this intimate relationship with NXT. I mean, Triple H even said, everybody up here, was his family.
Yeah.
And it was, really, really a great gathering. And, rest in peace to the Dream. And, just really good stuff. Very, very respectful, tasteful. Can't really say any more than that. Ash, is there anything else you want to say about this? Or
I mean, what more can be said about Dusty Rhodes? I think, and here's my thing, like, I appreciate his work and I appreciate his role in wrestling's history, but I was never really exposed to him, so I wasn't super sad at his passing because there was going to be no more of him. What hit me the hardest was knowing how much it affects the NXT stars and the NXT women and the NXT the kids that haven't been on TV yet, and really just kind of the role that he plays in the next generation. Like, not only are we not going to have Dusty Rhodes anymore, but we're not going to see Dusty Rhodes' magic touch on the future generations anymore either. That's what hit me the hardest.
Well said. I couldn't have articulated it any better. I think we can move on. So I believe Hideo Itami opens this show, much to the surprise of all of us.
Yeah, he did. His music hit, and I freaked out, and I'm sure you were internally freaking out. Either that or you had your mic muted, and you were externally as well. But yeah, he comes out, his arms in a sling. We find out that he's going to be out for another 3 or 4 months, but he will be at the 4th of July show. And he specifies that no matter who wins, whether it's Balor or Owens, he's going to challenge them for that championship when he gets back.
Man, I really felt for Hideo here because, I mean, he had a great attitude, and I loved, the energy of the crowd was very receptive of him. Got a great promo, but I just keep thinking, like, they're going to be in Japan. And like you and I have been saying it multiple times now on past TWitWoW, I was like, all the signs show that this really should have been Hideo's moment. It was his time. And even though I love Finn Balor to death, and I really do believe him and Hideo, I think really are pretty close. So it's great for them. It just sucks to see Hideo on the sidelines like this, but he's already kind of planting the seeds. Whoever walks away, I'm next in line, and it'll be great to see Hideo get his due in the form of a championship match. Loved his energy here, loved his confidence. His English really has improved again. Hideo's promos, I've never had a complaint. I feel like I can always understand what he's saying. But he gets interrupted by my favorite heel going today, Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens is such a good heel that he even had me hating him in this show.
Yeah, I could tell. And dude, between this and the main event segment, which I won't even say anything about that until we get there, but my God, Kevin Owens. I've said it before, but I always feel like it bears repeating. Everybody knows I love Seth Rollins. That he can't even touch Kevin Owens right now. I feel like it's Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and then you figure the rest of the list out. But he's just in a class by himself.
Tanner on Tough Enough.
Tanner on Tough Enough. Yeah. Oh, I'm just better than you guys. And Kevin Owens, he comes out. He pretty much says, that was a nice speech. It's great to see you. It's really nice. You won't be competing. I know that hurts, but, I will be. It's just so good. And then, Ashton, you got to help me out here, because I don't know if Mike could. I know he almost, Kevin Owens had a bit of a verbal botch, because he tried saying delusional.
Oh, my God, it was amazing. He said,
yeah.
Hideo, you must be delusional. And I would know, because I've been dealing with a lot of and then he just stopped. And he looked at the crowd, and it was like I was half expecting a "you effed up" chant, but then he said, "I'm stumbling over my words so much, it's almost like I'm you trying to speak English, Hideo."
See, and it's that stuff that just shows, I guess, the contrast in our personality. I guess it does kind of go back to our crowd discussion to start, because you said you legitimately hated Kevin Owens on the show.
Not in this segment. Not in this segment. This was amazing. I'm talking about it in commentary later.
Well, yeah, but see, all of it for me, I even told you, I wanted to see him put the boots to Hideo, and I don't have a problem with Hideo at all. And I'm just
but see, that almost tells me that you don't like Hideo as much as I do, because I freaking love Hideo.
I definitely think you're a bigger Hideo fan than I am. I think this segment definitely illustrated that. Because all I'm thinking to myself is, you know what? Kevin Owens is right. Yeah, Hideo, you shouldn't be talking. And I loved how Kevin Owens said it, too, because after he recovered, he said, that's not the only reason I'm out here, because I know I'm going to walk out NXT champion, so you're going to have to deal with me. But the second reason I'm out here is, you've been spreading. Or no, it wasn't even. He clarified that he did not injure Hideo. That was it, because people had kept pointing the finger at Kevin Owens that he had something to do with it. But then he says, Hideo, you said that I was a bad person. I love the way he phrased it. He said, and that's just not cool. So apologize right now. And I'm like, you know what? He's right. He's a father. I keep going back to that. He's a father, damn it.
Oh, my God.
I loved Hideo here because it's Chris Jericho promo cutting 101. I always reference his book and how he talked about promos. Because Hideo says, Kevin Owens, you are a great champion, but you're a terrible person. Yep. And then Kevin Owens, God, it's like I've not.
And what I love, too, is that Hideo didn't even just say you're a terrible person. He went all the way with it. He said, you're a terrible human being. I love that wording.
Yeah, definitely. Wording is everything.
And then Owens steps up, and he's just like, I noticed you still have one good arm, and I'm going to take care of that right now.
It's like I found my wrestling soulmate. Kevin Owens just understands me on the most evil level. I was like, yeah, break that arm. But it didn't happen, unfortunately, because Finn Balor had to stick his nose in Kevin Owens' business.
Honestly, I think that Kevin Owens is going to be the thing that allows me to find out the level of your depravity.
Depravity, yeah. And trust me, if that's really what you want to do, we will go places. Because Kevin Owens, he gets me, man. He gets me.
Oh, my God. That's horrifying.
So Finn and Kevin, they do have a nice skirmish in all sincerity. I enjoy it.
Oh, dude, when he first attacked Kevin, and that was cool and all, but then when Owens was walking to the back, trying to go out around a ramp to the back, and Balor just dove off the ramp onto Owens, that was my mark out moment. I was freaking out, man. I was so into it.
Definitely. That was really cool. Of course, it seemed like Finn was going to continue to put the boots to Kevin Owens, but then Rhyno comes in. He takes Finn out. So, A, it kind of hypes up, their match, and B, it gets more heat for Rhyno, so definitely serves a dual purpose. And overall, a really wonderful segment. I love Hideo in all sincerity, but I really get into heels, so it was great seeing him. Great seeing that timetable. It's nice getting some good news, because I know you and I have been talking about lately the state of injuries in WWE in particular and how they've really been plaguing. So to get that kind of prognosis, 3 to 4 months, I'll be back in, and I'm gunning for that NXT title. So good. It really gives everybody something to look forward to. Finn came off looking great, and Kevin Owens, man. Kevin freaking Owens. It's because I've pretty much verbed his name. You know, he's just that incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Owens, his heel work is next level when he can get me to hate him, because I'm usually along the same lines as you. I'm always like, yeah, be a douchebag. You're awesome. The heels are great. But man, during commentary tonight, he got on my nerves.
Man, I just want to get a t-shirt where it says, like, I effing love douchebags on the back, and just a huge thing of Kevin Owens' face on the front, because he epitomizes it, man. It's so good. Man. So what came after this, brother?
First match of the night, actually. Enzo and Big Cass versus Jason Jordan and Sylvester Lefort. Really quick match. Honestly, not even anything to talk about other than just how massively over Enzo and Cass are.
Yeah, that they just continue to be. I mean, I love the name the commentary gave them. The uncrowned NXT Tag Team Champions, keeping them in that hunt, keeping them in that conversation. As you said, Ashton, really nothing to say because we didn't even, again, get Colin Cassidy's hot tag this week. But good stuff. Their momentum keeps going on, and I can't wait for their rematch against Blurfy, or Blurfexa. Is that what we agreed on? Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, there you go. So.
But that's only when Alexa's involved. It's Blurfy when she's not, and that would be where the tag champions are Blurfy.
Yeah, so that rematch, I think it's going to be pretty solid, and it may just finally be Enzo and Cass's time, so.
Blurfy, Dubstep Cowboys, Team Thick, whatever you want to call them, that works.
NXT Tag Team Champions for now is the most appropriate, so we'll see what happens.
There you go, bringing it full circle. Up next, though, they showed Samoa Joe's Fallout promo from last week's show. We actually looked it up thanks to one of our viewers.
Scott Duckworth, baby.
That's right, Scott Duck. I thought it was him, but I didn't want to say it for fear of somebody else having done it and not getting that right. So I was just going to let it alone, but I'm glad that you remembered because, yeah, he's been one of our most loyal followers for a while now, and he's pretty consistent commenter, pretty awesome dude. He actually found me one time on Reddit randomly. It was pretty great. But yeah. Thanks to him, we actually saw this the Samoa Joe promo last week before we saw NXT, because last week was all night long for Lucha Underground, so we ended up doing NXT for the following night. But yeah, I mean, not really anything to talk about here. So unless you have anything to say about Samoa Joe's promo here, we can move on.
Absolutely not. Let's move on.
All right, second match of the night, Dana Brooke versus who I knew as Casey Cassidy. I guess WWE has rebranded her as just Cassie.
Right.
But yeah, I actually really surprisingly enjoyed this match. I thought this was probably Dana Brooke's best match since she debuted.
I'm so glad you feel that way, because honestly, yeah, I was going to open with this Dana Brooke match didn't make me cringe, and I feel like Dana Brooke is slowly putting the pieces together.
But now I have to throw out the question, is she really putting the pieces together, or is this just the best person that she's worked with?
And that very well could be, because I thought Cassie, bumped and sold very well for Dana Brooke. I think she got minimal offense, did Cassie.
Well, who else has she worked with? Did she beat Bayley already?
She beat Bayley already.
And we know that she beat Blue Pants, who, by the way, I did want to mention, Blue Pants, a.k.a. Leva Bates, was a part of the Dusty Rhodes tribute. She was up on the stage with the rest of the NXT roster, so I almost have to wonder if she got a contract.
I hope she did. I really do, because she's actually one of the most over, if not the most over woman on the roster.
Well, she's not the most over. I mean, she's maybe in the top 5, but good God.
Yeah, but I mean, her crowd reaction, though, every time she comes out is insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's great, but is it on the same level as Becky or Sasha or Bayley or Charlotte?
I'd say it's comparable, but I don't know if it's superior. I just feel like they really get into her.
I mean, I would say maybe it's comparable to Charlotte's, but I think the other three are on a tier above that.
If we're talking about women that show up, consistently and really are a fixture of NXT, I'd say Becky Lynch is the top face right now.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, so, but yeah, Blue Pants.
Well, I don't know. I think it's between her and Bayley.
Bayley.
See, Bayley is an enigma because you and I aren't super into her character, but the NXT crowd is incredibly into her character.
And the thing about, Bayley, I feel like the crowd, yeah, they are pretty consistent with her, but really where Bayley truly shines is when they do, live events other places. Because it seems like consistently Bayley is so over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I think the point I was trying to make, Yeah, I'm glad Blue Pants got a deal, because there's definitely
If she
a lot
did,
of
I mean,
if she did.
yeah, like it's one of those things where it's almost like she's like the adopted redheaded stepchild of NXT now. Like they didn't really want to sign her, but she kind of forced their hand.
Yeah, because I think of the crowd and the response. I mean, you'd have to think.
And in hindsight, that's almost entirely because of Carmella.
Yeah.
Because people hated her so much at first.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, back to Dana Brooke and Cassie here. Yeah, I enjoyed the work of Dana Brooke. Cassie, again, I think got minimal offense from what I remember.
She had a really good, believable babyface comeback in this match, though.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but it just didn't seem to take long for Dana Brooke to just kind of, smolder it down. This seemed to be primarily Dana Brooke's match, but
right.
It's always good to see, Cassie, get this kind of spotlighting, because, I mean, you've talked about how she is one part of the future of the NXT women's division, an integral part of that. So it's cool seeing her. Dana Brooke didn't really do much. There was one memorable moment where she got control of one arm, one leg, did kind of like a modified bow and arrow from where I sit.
Yeah,
and
I actually really liked that because I was literally just looking at the way that she had Cassie's limbs bent, trying to figure out how to get out of it. And it was like if you kind of rotate your hips one way, it puts more torque on your arm. If you rotate your hips the other way, it could pull your leg out of the socket. So it looked really, really painful and really difficult to get out of. So actually to me, that was one of the highlights of the match because a lot of the time rest holds are just lame freaking chin locks that nobody cares about. But they found a way to make a rest hold interesting.
Definitely, especially because, and I got to give Dana Brooke credit for this, she was kind of responding and interacting with the crowd because they were saying, Dana sucks, or Dana Brooke sucks, all variations just telling her that she sucks. And she's just, barking back, I don't suck, quit, I'll rip your arm and your leg off, quit, tap out. So she's talking trash to Cassie, she's talking to the crowd and interacting with them. So I think it may be a combination of both. Cassie is a great worker. I mean, you've sung her praises, and but I think also Dana Brooke may finally be starting to get it a little bit. And I feel like maybe Charlotte could bring, something out of Dana Brooke. I'm really hoping, because I mean, we had a segment later where Regal was talking to one of the women. It was Eva, and saying, the NXT Women's Division is on fire, and you can't just waltz in and do whatever. And I'm like, well, Dana Brooke, but hopefully Dana does put the pieces together, and it seemed like that started here. So.
Yeah, I mean, when she first debuted as a performer, if we perceived her as a 1 out of 10, I would say tonight she was a solid 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Slowly inching up the ladder. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So yeah. We'll see.
All right. Oh, by the way, I did want to say, I don't know how happy I am that Casey Cassidy's had 3 matches on TV now, and Jessie McKay's only had 1.
Yeah, hopefully that'll balance out.
Because what got me excited when I originally went on that huge rant about how great the NXT Women's Division is going to be with these two was because of a Jessie McKay match.
Right. So
and really on top of that, she's the heel and Cassie's the face, and I don't know. I want more Jessie McKay in my life.
Hopefully you get it, my friend. I'm pulling for you.
Oh, also worth noting, kind of random here, it seems like Cassie's new attire is basically literally just a blue version of Jessie McKay's attire when she had her match.
Interesting. You think these two women could be teaming up in the future, maybe have some kind of affiliation?
I doubt it, considering one's a face and one's a heel, but you never know.
I mean, you never know. I mean, again, we've seen...
I think that might just be the official we're Australian attire.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm waiting for Emma to rock this. And actually, she kind of does rock a similar attire, doesn't she? Except hers is pink and orange instead of blue or green.
Right.
Yeah, so frickin' A, we just discovered NXT's mild racism.
Yeah, through the wormhole of, ineptitude. But after that, we cut to Charlotte, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Because then we get reactions from Devin Taylor, and Charlotte's like, well, the only door I ever went through was opportunity. And
you know what, dude? My thing about this is I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Dana Brooke was saying. That was what the analogy was. the door was open for her because of who she is and who her family is and that kind of stuff, rather than having to work for it. And Charlotte's just like, yeah, I totally walked through that open door. Like, she didn't even counter Dana's point.
What a true heel. Daddy would be proud.
Like, that's our biggest problem with Charlotte, though, is that her promos are so cringeworthy. And this wasn't bad, but she had that one logical fallacy in it, and it took me out of it. And, oh, Charlotte, just work harder.
Well, I'll tell you what she wants to work towards. Kicking Dana Brooks and she stops herself, and she says, well, Devin, you know the message I'm trying to send, and I'll make sure that Dana Brooke gets that same message. And then she walks off. But Devin Taylor didn't get patted on the head. It was a good week for Devin.
Devin Taylor didn't get crapped on in any way whatsoever in this. I think this is like the first segment that she didn't get harassed in any way whatsoever in months.
I'm saying right now that I think Devin Taylor's my honorary high spot. It's nice to see her not get crapped on for a week, so good on her.
Absolutely, yeah. Solid stuff. Like I said, the one little, issue of her not actually countering Dana's only point was an issue, but it was a 30-second filler promo, and it served its purpose. It basically made people more interested in seeing the match between Charlotte and Dana. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Moving on, Finn Balor video package, part 2 of the Who is Finn Balor video package series. They show him from his starting point in Japan back in 2006. They talk about how he when he got there, the first person that he really kind of hooked up with was Matt Bloom, also known as Tensai, Albert, A-Train, Jason Albert, whatever you want to call him. Current head trainer down at NXT, which actually worked out brilliantly for Finn. Talks about how he had to be a young boy for a while, and they go through all the different things that young boys need to do, cleaning the sinks, toilets, and showers, and cooking meals, and then cleaning up the dojo after everyone's out of it, and just insane training sessions, and sounds like absolute hell. But yeah, it was great. They even talked about his time as Prince Devitt. They showed some Bullet Club merch. I don't think they actually mentioned Bullet Club by name, but they did show some merch with the logo on it and stuff like that. And yeah, this all kind of led up to him signing with NXT, and it was just a really well done package.
I mean, the biggest thing to come out of this, though, is that we see Finn Balor playing with Legos, because that's his hobby.
That's awesome.
And wearing an Adventure Time t-shirt. So as if you haven't endeared yourself to everybody enough.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to wonder how into the Lego universe Finn Balor is, because I would totally watch a Let's Play of him playing Lego Jurassic World.
Oh, absolutely. You, me, and I think everybody with a viable internet connection. Really, really love this video package. I forget what I was watching on YouTube, but somebody made a comment that really rung true to me, and they said this is back in the Monday Night Wars, they said even though WCW was so dominant, and for all those weeks and all that time they were superior to WWE on so many fronts, the one thing they could never match them in was production value and the video packages, because they get you hyped like nobody else. They get you into somebody like nothing else. And Finn Balor, to me, is probably the most likable, the most personable guy on the NXT roster right now because of these video packages. I mean, again, you see him playing with Legos, talking about, I watched SummerSlam 10 times that week while I was playing with my Legos. You can see, like, he has that nerdy side, definitely appreciates nerd culture with the Adventure Time and the Legos. And then you take a look at his experience and how hard he worked, and the hell of being a Japanese, young boy, in Japan, doing all the thing, cooking 3 meals for veterans, cleaning the dojo when the whole show was over. I mean, it's crazy the things they'd have you do, but Finn did his time, and I think that shows, like, the hard work and the perseverance. Again, very admirable babyface traits. Like, I guess what I'm really trying to say more succinctly is that these past 2 video packages, if you wanted to make Finn Balor come across a certain way to the audience, I think you achieved that and so much more. Really well done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these video packages and the way he's been booked, he is such a great babyface. Now, granted, I think that when he finally turns heel, which I think could potentially even be as early as by the end of this year, it's going to be huge. Right. But for right now, he's absolutely phenomenal as a babyface. Really, really great. I can't help but get behind the guy. He's great.
I mean, I'm calling it now because you were talking about heel turn. I wholeheartedly agree, first of all. Second of all, I think it'll happen when the demon completely consumes Balor, and I think we had a conversation about that quite a while ago on a past episode of NXT TWitWoW.
I think there's a distinct possibility that it might even happen on the December live special.
And yeah, absolutely. But for now, he's definitely carrying the mantle as the babyface, and he's doing a tremendous job of it. When you see his story, just like I say about Kevin Owens and how I'll always support him, against John Cena and against those big guys, when you hear the story of these guys, you want to get behind them, you want to root for them, you want to see them main event the WrestleManias, you want to see them have the security for themselves, for their families. And I couldn't be any happier for Finn Balor, and I'm stoked for him to be getting this opportunity because I know how hard he has worked because of these video packages. So, good on you, Finn, and just excellent stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, well, when Finn Balor gets up to the main roster, he is going to be one of the most over guys instantly.
Oh, absolutely, without question.
What do you think, John? Since we don't have a 30-second hot seat, how long do you think it's going to be before he gets called up? Do you think it'll be by the end of this year, or do you think it's going to be more along like WrestleMania season next year?
I say post WrestleMania, it would be 32 Raw. I think, we're going to see the vignettes, and I think they're going to give him one hell of a build. And honestly, though, I did hear a rumor a while back. It may be much sooner than that, but I think they really want something big planned for Finn Balor.
Well, and as far as being much sooner than that, I feel like it could be as early as SummerSlam.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to even top that, I think that there could even be a potential storyline in NXT. I think that, and this is way too early speculation, but I think there's a possibility that he was the one that took Hideo out.
Now imagine that, because, Finn was brought in.
Nobody benefited more.
That's true, because he won the match. It came down to a one-on-one match because of it. It would make such a great story.
I mean, if you think about it, Hideo and Tyler Breeze had beef going into it, but their beef was settled.
Yeah. And really, here's the thing. An act like that seems contrary to kind of Tyler Breeze's style.
Yeah.
Whereas Finn, the demon and everything, we talk about, we joked about my depravity and Kevin Owens' depravity. Well, Finn Balor just openly confesses, like, yeah, I have a demon inside of me, and who knows what kind of thoughts go in Finn's head. I think that would be an amazing story to tell, because, again, Finn was brought in by Hideo when Hideo was struggling with the Ascension. They came in as like a packaged unit. That's how they really, skyrocketed to prominence. And then to see that happen, I think that'd be an amazing, amazing storyline and program. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, and here's the thing, too. It's weird to me that Kevin Owens does deny it, because he is always so ready to own up to everything else. So maybe that's kind of like the fooling him with the left hand and then striking him with the right hand kind of deal. Maybe Kevin Owens is telling the truth, and Finn gets to hide in the shadows.
Absolutely. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It should be interesting for sure. Up next, though, we had our third match of the night, which I'm going to come right out and say was probably my least favorite segment between both this and Lucha Underground combined. The Hype Bros, which is now their nickname, it's Ryder and Rawley, Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley, taking on Sawyer, Fulton, and Angelo Dawkins. Can I please just say Mojo Rawley is as bad as ever? He hasn't gotten any better whatsoever.
No, he is not.
If anything, he's even more obnoxious now. Like, the whole it's hammer time thing, get out.
It's like, get out right now. And I
go to your room, Mojo. And that's the great thing, too. Here's the thing. This is how I tolerate Mojo Rawley. I still think he's absolutely horrible, but here's how I tolerate him. Imagine he's a Labrador puppy. That's how to tolerate Mojo Rawley right there.
Newspaper on the nose. Well, Mojo Rawley's bad when he actually forces me to churn out this sentence, which is just shredding up my insides internally.
Oh, he's gonna praise Zack Ryder.
Zack Ryder deserves better than this.
Oh my God, he did.
God.
I even have in my notes here, Ryder is great, and the other two guys are huge, but still solid in the ring, but Mojo still sucks.
I am going to be 100% sincere here for a second, because everybody knows one of my calling cards on TWitWoW is just crapping on Zack Ryder every opportunity, and I will continue to do so when this segment is over. Trust me, trust and believe. But the guy's a great worker. He's a former United States champion. He had a gimmick that was at one time over. Honestly, my biggest criticism of Ryder, again, in all sincerity, he hasn't evolved. Like, it's been so many years now, I feel like, since he's had the Long Island IC gimmick, the woo-woo-woo, and there's just been no evolution. He's teased it sometimes on Twitter and in some YouTube videos, but it's never translated into anything in ring, which is, and this is where, again, the praise continues, a shame, because you know the guy can work. The crowd seems definitely to respond to him, so I think they would definitely respond to an evolution in character and him getting some momentum, under his feet, and he kind of is. It's just a shame that it's accompanied with the baggage known as Mojo Rawley. I mean, I figured that Zach would be coming to NXT eventually. I was kind of hoping it would be a singles run, maybe, get him in some interesting stories, whatever. But no, of course, let's just pair him up with the most obnoxious guy on the roster who hasn't improved at all. I didn't notice his cheering section tonight, and you even heard people say, Mojo sucks.
Yep.
The only time that this guy could have been remotely interesting was when he was, and I don't mean it this way, so just allow me to finish the thought, when he was injured, because it was the whole idea that Tyler Breeze did it, and then he cuts that serious promo like, I'm going to get Tyler Breeze. Nothing came of that, and you came back an even bigger douchebag, and not even the likable kind like Kevin Owens. You, sir, are the worst, and the idea that you made me praise Zack Ryder at all, shame on you. Shame on you. And yeah, these guys win their match. I hate the name, by the way. Talk about uninspired. Good God. But they do after the, I guess, assisted Rough Rider, as I'll call it. And yeah, Sawyer, Fulton, Angelo, Dawkins. I like these guys together. I would have liked them better as the whole known as Shoot Nation, which isn't going to happen now, which is a shame. But
who all else was in that? I know it was those two guys, Jason Jordan,
Chad Gable,
and then wasn't the other guy Dig Rawless or something like
yeah,
that?
Yeah, Dig Rawless, you're right. Yeah.
Huh.
So
did Dig Rawless end up being Mike Rawless then?
You know what? That very well could be what actually happened. I'm not sure, but
because Mike Rawless has had a few matches in the past few weeks with Elias Sampson.
Right.
They're a tag team now, so yeah. I mean heck. Obviously, we didn't get our awesome 5-man stable, but I'm still interested in what each of those 5 guys does.
At least Chad Gable surviving, and again, I feel like a Kurt Angle kind of lighter 2.0 going on with him with his personality and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Very excited for him. But I don't want to get on that whole tangent because I did that, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago. But so yeah, around this matchup, Hype Bros win. And you know what the shame of it is? And I just need to get this off my chest, Ashton, and forgive me. I kind of cringe at the thought of these guys potentially getting a push as a tag team. Like, say, Dubstep Cowboys retain the NXT tag team titles. I don't think they will, but let's just hypothetically play along and say they will. I would have much rather preferred babyface vaudevillains being next in line getting that push, and I'm really afraid Hype Bros are going to be in that spot. And on a personal level.
Do we think that the vaudevillains are babyface again now officially?
Yeah, I think they're babyface.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they're
Well,
babyface.
why would they have, that's the thing though, why would they have turned those guys back if they didn't have that planned?
And that's a good point. And see, I thought the same way, but this is the second straight match now that Hype Bros have won as a team. They're
against relative nobodies though.
But that's how it usually starts. And then here's my thing. We're both acknowledging that Mojo's worse than ever and Zack Ryder's great. What if the entire plan with this team is for them to break up and turn Mojo heel? I would be cool with that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, because NXT is aware enough to know when people are sick of somebody. And they know that people were sick of Mojo Rawley long before they decided to take him off television with the injury. And the fact that they brought him back, not only as the same exact character, but with even more exaggerated obnoxiousness, you almost have to believe that that's intentional.
Right.
Because that's almost like what they did with Bo Dallas. With Bo Dallas, they realized that NXT crowds weren't behind him as a babyface, that they had him start being more heelish, more obnoxious, started calling experienced indie veterans who just showed up in NXT kid and say that they need more experience in NXT and this kind of stuff. And next thing you know, he goes full-blown heel, and it works out incredibly well. I think they might be doing the same thing with Mojo Rawley. They're just doing it in a tag team context so that they can make a babyface out of it at the same time.
And you know what? After Zack Ryder, in all honesty, if playing fantasy booking for just a second, who I would put Mojo Rawley in the ring with? Bull Dempsey and what he's got going on. I think that would be the perfect contrast. You got Bull Dempsey, this lethargic guy that just owns what he is, and Mojo Rawley, who's always hyped to the point where it irritates everybody. I don't know. I think that would be an interesting program to do from where I sit, especially because both of those guys were in very different positions at one time, and then they worked their stuff out. Because I just believe that a heel Mojo Rawley could work. Just like I'm believing that a babyface Bull Dempsey will work if that's where they're going. So yeah, I agree. I hope it results in a heel turn because we know that Zack Ryder deserves better, and Mojo Rawley has just not improved at all. A heel turn could be the last card to play, and if that doesn't work out, I'd send him his walking papers and maybe he'd go on the indie scene or do whatever. It's just not.
Or just maybe you go back to trying playing football.
Or that too. And I don't even mean to really be mean, because I know we're talking about a guy's real life here, and I always try and be sensitive to that, but if it's not working, it's not working. And we're just being honest when we say it's not working. So that's all I got to say about that. Is there anything else you want to say, or can we move on?
No, nothing left to say about that, but I do want to, before we actually move on to whatever was next, which is interesting to say the least, we did end up, and I guess I just didn't write down a note for it, we did end up with a brief overview of what's been going on social media with Bull Dempsey, and I actually really appreciate that they touched on that.
Yeah, I do as well, because I know you were telling me about it in conversation, but now everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
And that's how you tell a good story. You know, I understand social media is a powerful tool, but I like that WWE doesn't take any chances, and they do reach everybody with their medium of, well, really the network. I was going to say TV, but, you know, the WWE network, and saying, hey, guys, this is what, if you're not following these guys on Twitter, this is what happened. And it definitely keeps Bull Dempsey in everybody's minds, because they know that William Regal has a certain expectation of Bull Dempsey, and I'm wondering how that's going to end, because remember, it's not just Bull Dempsey, I think, owning what he is or not putting forth any effort to change. I mean, that story by itself I think would be great enough, but there is that element of what is William Regal going to think. I mean, he's clearly a no-nonsense kind of guy, despite being a more babyface figure, but he's the one that told Bull Dempsey, hey, get it together. Get it together, Bull. But, you know, William Regal, I think, has a certain expectation. And if it's not met, are they going to, quote-unquote, terminate Bull Dempsey? And that'll turn into something? Like, what's going to happen here? You know, very interesting time.
Yeah, I mean, this whole story with Bull has been, I don't know if I should say good, but at the very least, I think we can say interesting.
It's more interesting than anything Mojo Rawley's done, period, in NXT, and I'm not even joking about that. Like, this one story has made me more interested in Bull than I've ever been in him, and if we're comparing him to other guys that we would kind of, you know, give some flack to, I definitely think he's already ahead of Mojo Rawley now, you know, because of this, because it's something, you know, really different, and they you know, tweaked it a little bit, and now this is the kind of Bull Dempsey we're getting, and already I'm more receptive to it. So yeah. I'm actually very curious and very eager to see the end game.
Absolutely. All right, up next, though, Eva Marie shows up in William Regal's office and asks for a match.
To which William Regal replies, you know, you're not going to work me over with your charms. The NXT Women's Division is setting the world on fire. You can't just waltz in and ask for a match. You're going to have to show me some proof. Now, here's what I didn't get, Ashton. Proof of what? What was Regal looking for? That Eva's improved? Yeah. That Eva's been putting the time in?
That was, I kind of had that question, too, because it's one of those things where, I guess, what exactly is she supposed to do in order to prove that she can work a match if she can't get a match?
Exactly. Like, because honestly, if I was Eva personally, I would have pulled out my phone, pulled up my Instagram, and showed the training videos with Kendrick. Right. And been like, well, see there. That's the proof that I'm not just slacking off and waltzing in here. Like, I've been training for this, so give me a match. And really, maybe you would have had somebody walk in. Maybe a Bailey. Maybe, you know, a more of an undercard heel that we may not know much about. Hell, maybe Jessie McKay. Give her some screen time, you know, and have her, like, speak and maybe, you know, step up to Eva.
She would have had to, I mean, regardless of who it was, I think Eva Marie needs to lose her first match.
Yeah.
Because if she wins her first match, the entire NXT crowd is going to shit on it.
Right.
Whether she works a good match or not, the fact that she's winning, the NXT crowd sees that as, oh God, they're giving her a push. Shit on this immediately.
Right. That's a very good point. And, you know, I think we have a chance to tell a very interesting story with Eva Marie because, you know, you even, like, if you keep up with Total Divas canon, yeah, which, you know, we do, and we're not embarrassed about that.
We do mistakenly.
Yeah, we do mistakenly, of course. People perceive Eva like, oh, she's only here.
No, I mean literally, like, it's a terrible decision to keep up with Total Divas canon because WWE doesn't even seem to do that.
Oh, yeah, we're more committed than they are.
Yeah.
But, you know, they just say, oh, Eva's here on her looks and this and that seems to be, like, the general perception. She can't work worth a lick and this and that. So to see her grow as a performer, you know, trial and error, and then put the pieces together, even if she's consistently working good matches, which I hope is the outcome, you know, they got a very interesting story to tell, which hopefully will make Eva. I mean, I don't know what they want to make Eva. It seems like they want to make her a babyface, because I haven't really gotten a vibe from her since she's been in NXT that she's looking to be a heel, and I feel like you've already kind of got that spot filled with, first of all, the glorious Sasha Banks. And then,
Well,
you know,
Sasha is on the brink of a babyface.
oh, yeah, and you and I have been saying that for a while, but for right now...
If it wasn't for the fact that she's been working with literally just Becky Lynch for the past, 2 months, I think she would have already been a babyface by now.
Right. But for right now, though, she is still perceived as a heel, and then I think right below her, as much as I hate to say it, I feel like Dana Brooke will be taking that spot. Either her or my darling wife, Emma. So, you know...
Emma
Eva...
makes a lot more sense as the next heel, but as far as the way that they're actually being booked, which, as you've always said,
you are what you're booked.
Yeah, exactly. You are what you're booked. I was going to say what you are is what you're booked, but that's not as succinct as your version. So, Dana Brooke is probably the second top heel in NXT right now, but to me, that's a good thing because that means that Sasha Banks isn't at risk of losing her championship to her.
Right. I just feel like Eva may be gunning instead for a more top babyface spot, which will be equally difficult.
Because she's got a lot more competition then, because then she's got to compete with Becky, Bayley, Charlotte, Alexa, well, not Alexa anymore, or Carmella, now Cassie is in the mix, so yeah, I think there are a lot more babyfaces in NXT, in the NXT women's division specifically, than there are heels.
But having watched the Instagram videos and everything, I'm excited to see Eva's first match, post-training with Kendrick. It's gonna be
what I wish they would do?
What's that?
I wish they would put together a montage of her training and show the NXT universe so that they're at least aware, for those that don't follow social media and stuff like that, so that they're at least aware that she has been putting in the work.
I love that idea. I'm actually kind of disappointed they haven't done something like that already. Yeah. Because you're kind of
obviously they're capable and willing to show social media on the NXT product. Otherwise, they wouldn't have seen the Bull Dempsey stuff.
Right.
So why not use all of this footage that we have on Instagram of her learning how to take bumps, learning how to do different moves, learning how to hit the ropes, learning all this different stuff with Brian Kendrick, and show that on NXT.
Yeah, I completely agree. I see nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I hope they do that down the road, because again, it just seems like they're throwing her in the water, shark infested and everything, just looking to tear her apart, and not even giving her a life jacket to wear. And that, a montage of the videos and of stuff that maybe even you and I haven't seen would be great to kind of, say, hey, she's not coming in as green as you remember her. This is what she's got. Maybe change the perception a little bit.
I think another good option would be, you talked about throwing her in shark-infested waters. Put her in there with Sasha Banks for her first match.
Yeah.
Let Sasha Banks rip her apart.
Yeah. Honestly, it would only further facilitate, like what we were talking about earlier, the inevitable Sasha Banks babyface turn.
No. When I say let Sasha Banks tear her apart, I mean literally let Sasha Banks, as a heel, just brutalize Eva Marie. Make it a no DQ match and let Sasha use weapons, for God's sake. Get some sympathy on Eva Marie, because she has none right now.
Well, I don't think they'll go that far, but I get the general point that you're making. Just have Sasha Banks just really dominate to a almost sympathetic degree upon Eva. I could see that happening. It wouldn't be the first time that they've thrown Sasha in the ring with scrubs, like, jobbers or people that, maybe just be having their first match with the NXT Women's Champion. So, it wouldn't be unheard of, and I definitely think that could work. So, we'll see what they've got planned for Eva Marie.
Absolutely. Up next was our main event, Finn Balor and Rhyno. Kevin Owens, though, on commentary. I admit this was pure gold, but that didn't stop it from absolutely annoying the crap out of me at certain points.
Because it was incessant, and I think that's what made it work. It always seemed like Kevin Owens was saying something, talking trash to somebody. But I will say, I loved the mutual respect between Kevin Owens and Corey Graves.
Oh yeah, that was definitely the best part of this to me.
Yeah. And I love how, Kevin Owens chums it up with Byron, but in an intimidating way. Like, hey, Byron, how you doing, buddy? Yeah. Oh, just great stuff. Kevin Owens, just so good at commentary.
I don't even know if I would say that it's really buddying up. He kind of intimidated Byron a lot.
Well, yeah, that's what I was like, coming up in an intimidating way, so you know it was fake. But, or insincere is the term I'll use. But that's what made it comical, though, is acting like, yeah, Byron, are we having a great time? And then Byron's just like, please don't hurt me.
Yeah,
so
and then,
really
like, throughout this match, Byron was asking Kevin Owens questions, and all Kevin Owens would say was, stop asking me questions and call the match.
Right.
That was what was getting on my nerves. It was like, you're out here as a guest commentator, and again, this is me completely buying into kayfabe because Kevin Owens is just this good, but you're out here as a guest commentator, and you're getting asked questions by other commentators, and all you're telling them to do is shut up and ignore you, basically.
Yeah, which, I mean, Kevin Owens is just trying to keep the ship sailing. And, but he's just so good, though, at being that much of a douche because, he gives, I love at one point, he's like, Rhyno deserves more than this. Finn, but Rhyno definitely. Just pretty much shafting Finn Balor, not taking him seriously at all. I mean, he does say at one point, Finn Balor is a great athlete, but I am, the NXT champion. It's just always about Kevin Owens. I felt like he had so many great lines here. The match itself, not really that memorable, to me. It was a good match. I feel like, heel Rhyno worked well, with his power game, but it really didn't seem that different from how he works as a babyface from where I sit. And, the end came where Kevin Owens, walked down to the ring. Finn took care of Kevin. Rhyno got the belly-to-back suplex, set up for the gore, to your point, which the crowd got behind, which was a little weird. Finn stuffs the attempt, gets the sling blade, hits the coup de grace from quite a distance, gets the win. Kevin Owens then comes back in. Him and Rhyno are putting the boots to Finn post-match, and then Samoa Joe makes the save. So we're keeping all the relevant pieces in play here. I'm wondering if maybe next NXT, before the Sumo Hall confrontation between Owens and Balor, if we're not going to get a tag match, Balor and Joe against Rhyno and Owens. So.
Absolutely, yeah. Guys, I've never really done this before, but it is relevant. We have some pretty big news right now about NXT since we are talking about it. Are you ready for this, John?
Yeah, lay it on me.
You remember Wrestle Kingdom 9, right?
Yes.
Do you remember the 8-man tag match involving Suzuki Gun?
No.
It was the match with Shelton Benjamin and Lance Archer in it.
Yeah, okay.
Do you remember TMDK?
No. Well,
The Mighty Don't Kneel.
Yes.
Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste.
Yeah.
They've been signed to WWE right now. They just got developmental contracts.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tag division equals new blood, baby. That's going to be amazing.
Oh, dude, that has me so excited. I literally just came out less than an hour ago that these guys, and the crazy thing is I feel like it was literally an hour ago I saw a thread on Reddit that WWE was trying to sign them, and now maybe 25 minutes ago an article came out saying that WWE officially offered them contracts.
That's an incredible signing. They'll be a wonderful asset to the NXT tag team division. I am so happy for those guys, and even happier for myself because now I get to see them on NXT.
Definitely. I love these guys. I mean, you can even go back and listen to our live reactions to Wrestle Kingdom 9, which is available on this channel. And while we were reacting to this match, I feel like I was just constantly talking about how I want these guys in NXT. And you agreed with me, and now we got them.
That's awesome. NXT, man. Just a place to be.
It really is. It's so crazy, dude. Like, I feel like NXT is becoming the new PWG almost. Like, PWG has always been a place where all of the top indie guys and up-and-coming indie guys had a place to kind of go and hone their craft, right? Well, I feel like that's kind of what NXT is becoming. Because NXT, over the course of the last couple of years, we've got, and I'm just going to use their indie names for the sake of impact and kind of making a statement. El Generico, Kevin Steen, Finn, see, even when I try and use their old names, I still, out of habit, call them their WWE names. Prince Devitt, Pac, Kenta, I mean, I'm sure there's more, but that's just who comes to mind immediately, and it's insane to me. And now we're getting most likely Johnny Gargano. We now are getting Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols. I'm waiting, man. We've got so many guys on the indies right now that are going to be huge additions to NXT. I mean, even if you just want to look at ROH, Adam Cole, Jay Lethal, ACH, Cedric Alexander, Roddy Strong, Moose. It's
Right.
Adam Page. Dude, I'm telling you, NXT is where it's at right now as far as just American indie wrestlers. And not even American, because there's a lot of worldly signings too. You look at Neville was Dragon Gate, Finn Balor was New Japan, Hideo was Noah, Sami Zayn's worked everywhere, for God's sake. So has Kevin Owens. And now we've got these guys coming in also from Noah. Like, it's crazy.
Absolutely. Really exciting time for NXT.
I almost have to wonder if they're going to look at Zack Sabre Jr. next, because I think he's like 6'3". He's got that WWE height that they always look for. And he is retardedly good in the ring. And he's from Europe. So that almost kind of seems to fit the formula that WWE's been going with, where they I wouldn't say they avoid American independent wrestlers, but they definitely seek out the international guys.
Right. Hey, man, we'll see. Anything's possible.
Oh, man, this is an exciting time. I love that we are actually breaking news on TWitWoW.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. But bringing the conversation back, is there anything you want to say about this main event?
No. I think I got out what I wanted to talk about with the main event during our Heat of the Night segment.
All right, then. Well, with that said, let's move on to high spots and low shots. My low shot's Rhyno. You know, he attacked Finn Balor before their matchup. He was full of pent-up aggression and rage, really had something to prove, and he still comes up short against the number one contender. Not a great night for the man-beast.
Absolutely. Tell you what, I think I'm going to just make it simple, and my low shot is going to be Jason Jordan, because he's been trying so hard to find a tag team partner, and tonight he might have had the realization that maybe he is the common denominator here. He's the problem.
Maybe. I mean, he did eat the pin, so it was a pretty rough night for Jason Jordan.
Yeah.
Moving right along, my high spot, clear as day, Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
The man right now, and a guy that just has a direct line to me, period. Not the funny bone, but just to me, period. Love this guy.
Yeah, he's directly connected with you.
Yeah, totally. It's amazing. So who's your high spot?
Oh, man. My high spot, I'm going to keep it simple also with this. Finn Balor. He won the match, and even though he got beat down a little bit at the end, Samoa Joe came out to make the save.
Yeah, absolutely. So Finn has friends and
all
places.
of this character progression with these Who is Finn Balor video packages is amazing.
Oh yeah, the guy's on a freaking roll right now. Nothing but love for Finn Balor. He's really looking like he's gonna be the next NXT champion, but with Hideo looming, you never know. But with that said, great high spots and low spots this week. Do you have anything else you want to say about NXT?
I just can't see them keeping the title on Owens for much longer with the work he's doing on the main roster.
Right.
So, no, I don't think I have anything else to add.
All right, guys. Well, with that said, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. What did you think of Kevin Owens this week? Is he the top heel going right now? What do you think about Finn Balor's chances of taking the NXT Championship off of Kevin Owens? And who do you think Hideo Itami will be facing for that NXT Championship when he returns from injury? Be sure to take the conversation over to Pleetoff, an amazing pro wrestling group on Facebook. Lots of guys over there love NXT. But if you want to keep the conversation minimal to myself and my cohort and commentary here, Ashton has got you covered. He has made a TWitWoW subreddit. You can start any wrestling-related thread that your heart desires there. Any questions that you have for myself or Ashton, feel free to pose them there. And we will see you again for our Monday Night Raw review, where I've got to wonder, how is Kevin Owens going to teach John Cena his place next? Until then, tune in and peace out.